Ba-da-da, da-da-da, and welcome back to Balancing Unhinged. Today we have a very special episode because it's always sunny in St. Augustine. During hurricane season, it's not sunny all day long, but it is always sunny for a little bit every day. But specifically, I have a very special Sunny in my life. My dog, Sunzu Shiva Shah, aka Sunny. Sunny just turned 13 yesterday. And when I got Sunny, he was just shy of 12 weeks old. Maybe he was 8 weeks old. I got him in June 11th, 2013. And he was my birthday present because my birthday is on the International Day of Yoga, June 21st. And this might have been a year or two before the International Day of Yoga was the International Day of Yoga, because the International Day of Yoga was, when was the first International Day of Yoga? I'll find out real quick. But Sunny was 2 pounds, 11 ounces when he got checked up on a Friday, and I got him on a Tuesday. So when I got him, he was able to fit into my hands like this. And I remember driving home with him in the car, and I put him into my shirt like this, and he just like sat in my sweatshirt. Because even though it was June, for some reason I was wearing my sweatshirt. So I got him in Massachusetts. So up there in the summertime, it could still be a little bit cooler. But yeah, the first International Day of Yoga was observed on June 21st, 2015. So yeah, this year is going to be the 11th International Day of Yoga, and it'll be on June 21st, and we'll have a yoga class here at the art studio and gallery down by the St. Augustine Pier, as we usually do. And we had a very fun birthday party for Sunny yesterday. Just kidding. It wasn't really a big deal, honestly. And unfortunately, I was actually in like a little bit of a bad mood yesterday. So I don't know what my mood was. It was very interesting because sometimes you get into a bad mood. And do you ever do this? You get in a bad mood and you just kind of like stew in it, right? So sometimes you like want to live in the moment. You want to have this like peaceful life, and you want to have, you know, the most balanced life that you can or whatever, and you want to not be fucking crazy. So, but then some days you end up doing it anyways, because like, I swear, sometimes I get mad at my kids or something, and then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, stop yelling at these kids. And then, you know, you stop yelling at them for a little while, but they like continue to like not do whatever. So actually yesterday my kid had to go to soccer. So they're like, oh, why are you yelling so much? Why are you in such a bad mood? And I'm like, because you guys don't do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. So if you're not doing what I tell you to do, and I have to come back here 5 minutes later, you haven't done what I told you to do, and then I have to tell you to do it again. And then you're like, oh, but we don't have to leave yet. Why do I have to do this if we don't have to leave yet? I'm like, well, because I'm trying to get you to do 3 things before we leave the house, right? So it's like, are you going to be able to do all 3 of those things like the minute that we have to leave? No, because the minute that we have to leave is the minute that we have to leave. So I'm like, do I really have to, you have to like build in the time for these motherfuckers to do this fucking shit? What the fuck? Honestly, really grinds my gears. So Sunny had his birthday yesterday. That was fun. We did a little bit of stuff for him. What happened? He had a groomer appointment. So as you can see from his beautiful picture that I'm putting up here, he just got a groomer appointment, just got a haircut. So he was nice and well groomed. He was a little bit fluffy and unkempt in the morning when he woke up in the morning, but sent him to a little spa day, and he got home, took him for a walk, took a giant poop, and then took him with me to the soccer practice. So eventually we get out the door, end up like, you know, yelling at these kids. Oh, like I can't even begin. But, you know, I have to fill the water bottles. Okay. So I do that. All right. And then I have to clean the whole house I have to fold the laundry. I have to vacuum. I have to do the dishes. I have to clean the dishwasher out. I have to fill the dishwasher up. I have to clean off the counters, whatever, all the shit, right? And then like, put on your fucking socks. What's the big fucking deal? Oh, can you go get them for me? What the fuck, dude? I do fucking so much. Fuck off. You fucking do it. What the fuck? And then I got to the practice. My son's 9 years old. He's 9.5. He's going to be 10 in October. So he doesn't tie his shoes yet. And we get to the soccer practice and he's running out and he goes, oh, wait, you have to tie my shoes. What the hell? So I'm like, all right, fine. Obviously, I always tie his shoes. Obviously, that's why he does not tie his shoes, because somebody else is always fucking doing it for him. Anyways, so then my daughter's like, oh, don't yell at him for tying his shoes. Here, I'll do it. I'm like, here, I'll teach him how to tie his shoes. I'm like, it's literally 6:02. We're 2 minutes late. I don't have time to be teaching him how to tie his fucking shoes. How about, you know what? I'm going to like turn off the internet today. You know, sometimes we just turn off the internet and then the internet doesn't work. And guess what? They can't watch TV or anything either. And then guess what? They do something else. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Shocking. So, you know, some stuff drives me crazy. Okay. I'm not all peace and love. All right. This morning, I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, did myself a total body muscle conditioning workout. Did you know that women who are getting older, you, have an increase actually in like testosterone. So it kind of gives you the rage. And you decrease your estrogen also. So you decrease the trying to give a shit. So those are biological hormonal factors that are involved in my current experience. So just throwing that out there. But Sonny is so good. He's such a good little boy. He's getting old. He is 13 now. He just twitched. Oh, he moved and he's like, how dare you? How dare you call me old? I'm not old. Did you ever hear the thing about how if you have a dog, then you can calculate their age like into human years if you multiply their age by 7? So if you were to take Sonny's age right now being 13 and times that by 7, he'd be like 91 years old. But there was something else that I heard too, where it said that you could take the first 4 years and times those by 7. So then that's 28, right? And then the extra years after the 4th year, you only count 4 more years. So if the first 4 years of a dog's life times 7 equals 28, right? So then 13 minus 4 equals 9, and then 9 times 4 equals 36 plus that to the 28, then he's 64. So my dog could be either 64 in human years or something like 91. So he's like 64 to 91. I think he acts more like a crotchety 64, perhaps. But sometimes he hops around, and that's really nice. It's really nice to see him when he's hopping around and he's having a good time and he's getting all lively. And I'm like, oh, look at you with your little spunkiness. It's so cute. Because, you know, just like anything else, like, so my son just got a e-scooter. So on Easter, we gave the kids Easter baskets and they got some money from some relatives, but then they also had some Easter eggs that I filled and decided that instead of a shit ton of candy, you know, we only did a ton of candy, not a shit ton. But so I had all this money and I just got like a bunch of my coins. So I have a little coin collection going. I used to go to that coin star at like the grocery store. You'd bring in your coins, but they would charge you like a 9% VIG. Dang, 9%. Every dollar, you're losing 9 cents for somebody else to fucking count it for you. Do you remember back in the day when you would take I would take all my coins and you'd literally wrap them in the little paper wrappers and then you'd bring them to the bank and then they would take them. So, but then I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were bringing in coins of wraps of coins that didn't actually have coins in them, or say that 50 pennies went into a roll of pennies. and maybe it only had 59. So then they were actually doing this thing where you'd take the rolls and either they would take it and it would be like honor system, they would believe you, or they could actually go count it all. But most of the time, what they did was they put it on a scale and they would weigh it and they would see if it weighed what it was supposed to weigh. So that's cool too. So if you have any old coins or anything like that, I'm not saying like collectible coins, but maybe collectible if you really want to. I actually was going through my coins and I came across I want to say it was a 50-cent coin, you know, the one with JFK on it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to put that into one of these eggs. But I did put 75 cents into most of the eggs. And then some of them I put like $1.25. And what's really funny is that these kids, the respect for the coins is so low. They don't respect the coins. And I was putting 5 quarters in a lot of these eggs. But then some of the other eggs had dollar bills. And they had a 1 or a 5 or a 10. But like, you know, most of them had a 1 or just the coins. But so like they're opening all the coins and they're just like dumping them out. They didn't even count how many were in there. I think I literally did put 1 quarter into a couple of the eggs, but most of them had 75 cents or a dollar or even $1.25 because I practically felt bad. Like there's so little amount of things that you could buy for a small amount of money these days. Man, when I was doing my paper route, I was 8 years old, 32 years ago. 1994 was the year. I was doing a paper route in Belgium and I don't even know how much money I made. And for some reason I translated it into like $1.40, but it might have been like 1.4, something like that. But you could take before the euro in Belgium, they had the Belgian franc. And in France, they had the French franc. And in Italy, when I lived in Italy, we had the Mila and the Lira. And in Belgium, when I was 8 years old, I had a paper route and I would make my own money. And every, like once a month or once a week, I think it was once a month, I had my paper route in Belgium and they paid once a month because it was such a small amount of money. But I would get something like, you know, a small amount of money. But there was a candy store. And so like say for example we had like the franc was like the dollar bill, but like the franc for some reason they called like one was the franc and one was the franc. Like okay, great. Anyway, so the franc was like the coin and the franc was like the dollar. And then we had the coins and you'd have like a 1 franc. And back then they said the 1 franc we said was like 3 cents. So if you had, you know, 30 francs, then it was practically like a dollar. So then that would be, you know, what you would expect to pay for stuff. So we had a candy store that was around the corner and I was able to go down there and buy some 1 franc candy. So you could get that like, you know, little strip of, you know, chewy gummy tape, whatever the fuck it is, covered in sugar, you know, gummy strips or fruit tape, I think is what they're calling. I forgot. Anyways, my mouth is starting to water. Just remember going to the candy store with just a couple of francs and then still being able to buy a little bag of candy. Always buying like as many as I could of pretty much usually the cheapest shit they had, just because I wanted to be able to get as much as I could because I had 2 sisters. And I had 2 sisters to take care of. So I'd get home with my candy and I would always share or have to share, you know, with my sisters. So if I could get 1 piece of candy, or if I could get 3 pieces of candy, you know, I would have 2 that I could give to my sisters and then 1 for me. Or even just get 2 pieces, whatever, make them share 1 and then 1 for me, something. But still, most of the time, I would be thinking about, you know, my friends, somebody I'm going to share with, and stuff like that. So when I got Sonny, he was my birthday present from my boyfriend. Actually, it was my fiance. So my boyfriend turned into my fiance, and he did turn into my husband, and we are still married, so that's fun. But I always do remember that when I got Sonny, and it was June, we got married that same year in September. So every year that Sonny turns his age is how old my marriage is, sort of. So if he's 13, then I'm having my 13-year wedding anniversary this year because he turned 1 and then I had my first year wedding anniversary. So that was fun. And Sunny loves St. Augustine. One thing about Sunny that I love is that when we moved to St. Augustine, his allergies actually cleared up because when we were living in Massachusetts, we had this vet. We were living, when we got Sunny, we were living in Lawrence and we were right on the border of Andover. So I preferred to go to Andover for stuff. And I would go to Andover for the vet. So we went to the vet in Andover and they kept telling me that Sonny got these chronic ear infections because he had a food allergy. So we were there for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years and kept 7 years, kept going to the same vet. And they kept telling me they had fucking food allergies. So like, oh, give him sensitive dog food for his whatever. So I did that, but he still got the chronic ear infections and he still got yeast infections on his feet. He still gets the yeast infections now, but now he doesn't get the ear infections like as bad. He still gets them sometimes, but it's really just not as bad because previously, honestly, I would have to wash his ears out every other day because they would say, don't do it every day. My vet told me not to do it. Wait. We'd do it every day, but then we would do drops every other day. So now I still clean his ears regularly, but they're like just not as bad as they used to be because like the ear infections would be so bad that he had like big smelly chunks of shit in his ear. And I don't know if that was like yeast infection in his ear. I'm not a vet, but all I know is that they tried to put him on like shots and they were like, oh, let him do this shot. It's like $80 a month and then he'll be better. And then I took him to a dermatologist. I took him to a veterinary dermatologist up in the Boston area. I think it was like out near Concord. It was somewhere far away and it was in the middle of fucking nowhere. But I want to say it was actually in Littleton maybe. Anyways, but Sonny went to this doggy dermatologist in that area and I had to spend like over $1,500 at this doggy dermatologist, over $1,500. It was $1,600. And like, it was like $400 for 4 tests. It was like each test was $400. It was just like, oh, we're going to test him for this. Nope. Test him for this. Nope. Test him for this. Nope. So apparently that's what they do is like, well, how are they going to know if he has what? Like they have to test him for all these different things. Fucking crazy. So I didn't have dog medical insurance at the time. My sister gets medical insurance for her dog through her work, but I don't. So I don't get that. So I'm sorry, Sonny. You're not as well cared for as Crystal's dogs, but that's okay. We still love you very much. And we hope that you're going to live a long life. Because I got Sunny because I really love Shih Tzus because I had a Shih Tzu when I was 9 years old and she lived for damn near 20 years. Literally, I got this dog, Kwai Chang, when I was 9 years old living in Belgium. And she used to come on my newspaper route with me. And when I got married in 2013, she was in my wedding with Sunny and she was 19 years old at the time. And then that year after Christmas, we ended up putting her down. And that was one of the hardest decisions that I've ever had to make. And I can't imagine how hard it must be for anybody to have to put an animal down because that was so sad. And our vet said that she was having dementia and she was very incontinent and stuff like that. So although I'm trying to paint a picture as to why we thought that it was the best thing for her, but I still am very upset and stuff over that. So, but we have Sunny here to help us feel better, and he's the best. And our time is up. So we're going to move on. And we've got some awesome stuff going on here in St. Augustine this weekend. The Festival of Chariots is coming up on Saturday. Last year, I did the Festival of Chariots event that took place up in Jacksonville. And this year, they're having one in Jacksonville soon, but they're also having one here in St. Augustine. So that's taking place on Saturday. And in April, it is the National Poetry Month or Poet Month, something like that. So they're actually doing some stuff for poets this weekend too here in St. Augustine. So it's going to be a good time. We're looking forward to it. We've got sports events for the children here, and Sonny is taking a nap, but he'll be awake and he'll want to go take a walk, and he loves going down to the park and the beach, and hopefully we'll have a nice beach day. Today is actually crazy cold. I saw is today like 53 degrees. It's like weirdly cold. Oh, my computer's saying 53, but my phone says 70, so it must be 70. And then it looks like it might rain a little bit later today. So we are actually coming up to that hurricane season right about soon-ish. Well, not right now, it's April, but April showers lead to the Mayflowers, and the Mayflowers brought the pilgrims to Plymouth. But the Plymouth pilgrims did not get there before us here in St. Augustine. This is the first city, and you better not forget it. So come on down. The weather is pretty good. We'd love to see you. Of course, I'm a realtor here, and I just wanted to throw that out there in case you missed any of that in any of the previous episodes. So if you want to move to St. Augustine, or if you want to invest in St. Augustine, if you want to invest with me, I'm also looking to flip some properties as well. So I'm looking for some investors for some flips. So if you want to partner up with me on something like that, if you want to dip your toe in, I'm also going to be looking into some tax lien certificate sales coming up very soon. And anybody that wants to get involved with that with me, I would be happy to work with you on that. And yeah, I'll just be here with Sunny doing our damn thing and enjoying this beautiful environment and beautiful area here of Northeast Florida. And that's it. So we'll catch you next time on the Flippity Flop. Don't get a flat tire. Bye.